I don't have number sense, actually, because you lost me. I know what 5 + 2 is, but... Welcome to the University of Wyoming College of Education podcast. I'm your host, Becky Goodman. I'm here with Michelle Tudor, an alum of our Curriculum and Instruction program. Michelle, welcome. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and career path?
Sure. Thanks for having me. My name is Michelle Tudor. I am from Lexington, Kentucky, and I just recently retired from a 26-year teaching career. I've been an elementary school teacher, a school administrator. I've worked for the Department of Education, and then I graduated from the University of Wyoming in 2024 with a doctorate in mathematics education.
Wow, I have some family in Kentucky, so I have to say I'm pride there. Love that. What part, did you grow up there?
I did not. I grew up in southern Indiana, so not very far from where I live now. But my husband is from Kentucky, so I've lived here now for close to 27 years. I
should know, your accent does sound a little bit, I don't know, like that type of Midwestern. I'm from Newcastle, Indiana.
I graduated from Ball State.
My father graduated from Ball State, and my mother graduated from Purdue.
We have so much in common.
Already off the bat, I know that you are a very well-educated teacher. So, what motivated you to become an elementary school teacher?
Well, my mom was a teacher. There's a lot of teachers in my family, but my mom was a teacher. And at first, she actually talked me out of being a teacher when I went to college. And I got a degree in interior design. And I worked in that for a few years. But I always just loved working with children. And I really loved being able to... I taught gymnastics in high school. That was my job. And I just loved being able to see kids learn something and feel so good about themselves when they did, and being able to be part of that. And so the older I got, the more I realized that was really what I felt called to do in my life. And so I went back to school and got a Master of Arts in Teaching. And I started teaching when I was 30.
So in that, what made you want to shift your focus to math?
Well, at first I didn't really know that. I was just an elementary school teacher and we taught everything. I always liked math. And I was good at math, according to, what we thought was good at math before. But later I went to my first Title I school. A Title I school is a school with a certain level of children who are living in poverty, and you get federal funding for that. So those schools have a lot of extra funds to pay for additional teachers, to pay for extra school materials that would be helpful for them. But generally, I can't remember the percentage, but it's a pretty high percentage of students living in poverty that you have to get that. And the more students you have living in poverty, the more funds you are able to receive. A lot of times now in education, you'll hear about students who need intervention or multi-tiered system of support or response to intervention. And so at Title I schools, oftentimes we have a large number of children who, according to test scores, would need intervention, right? So at a typical school, you might have 10 to maybe 20% of kids who might need some sort of intervention. Generally, at a Title I school, you're going to have over 50% of the kids who need intervention. And so it's also a situation that you can't intervene your way out of. No amount of intervention is going to take care of that. And it's also a situation where children are coming to school less prepared than their middle class or upper class counterparts. And so we start behind the gun already. So we have kids come to school who aren't prepared for kindergarten. And then we spend the year in kindergarten getting them prepared for kindergarten, but we send them to first grade. And so it's just a snowball of all those things happening. And you end up in fifth grade with kids who are still struggling with first and second grade skills sometimes. And it's not every student, obviously, but it's just a larger percentage, unfortunately, of other schools. And it's really hard to overcome even with extra staff. It's not enough to make up for that. So I've been teaching about 10 years, and I went to my first Title I school. It was a low performing school. And I honestly had never seen, I taught fifth grade. I had never seen fifth graders who had such low skills in math. And no one could say why or what to do about it. When you ask somebody, how do I intervene? What do I do about this? All the answer I got was, well, just keep teaching them fifth grade math and they'll get it. And they don't. So I ended up going to some professional development things. And one of them really changed my view on math and teaching math and just really sparked my interest. And from that point on, I really became interested in being focused on math. Here in Kentucky, there's a lot of people who become reading specialists, but very few math specialists. And so I felt like that was a real need as well. And the further I went in my career working at low performing schools, the more I saw the need for that. And so when I decided to go back to school to get a doctorate, I was really focused on making a difference in mathematics education for children because I felt like there was a true need for that.
What does a lack of number sense look like in a child, and what does having number sense look like in a child?
So a simple definition of number sense is that you can mentally operate and work with numbers. So what I like to think of it is in your head, you can manipulate numbers. You know all the time that if I say 5 plus 2, it's always going to be 7. And I can say, oh, if I know 5 plus 2 is 7, if I go down 1 for 4, then that means I have to go up 1 for 3. 4 plus 3 is also 7. So it's being able to just manipulate numbers.
Oh, I have number sense.
Becky, are you with me on that one?
I don't have number sense, actually, because you lost me. I know what 5 plus 2 is, but 734 might, yeah.
No, if you go down, if you take 1 from 5, you get to 4, right? So that means to stay at 7, I have to add 1 to the 2, so I have 4 and 3 instead of 5 and 2. Children know how to make those exchanges when they have good number sense.
Well...
When kindergarten students come in, we want them to have word-to-one correspondence, like they can count the number of objects that are there. We want them to be able to order the number of like numerals, like put numerals in order, not just rote count them, but actually be able to visualize and put them in the order that they go in. They recognize patterns. So there's a lot of things. Most people think about it as, though, being able to mentally do math. So when I get in older grades, if I'm doing 2-digit addition, I can make tens out of those numbers and then add on because I know all of the 10 pluses, what those equal. So if I'm adding 22 plus 23, well, I know 20 is 2 tens and 20 is 2 tens. So that's 4 tens. So I'm at 40. And then I've got 2 and 3 is 5. So 45. So I can manipulate the numbers to make them make sense and be easier to operate with. Some people think it's like common sense. You either have it or you don't, but that's not true. You can gain number sense.
So does this like start to emerge at, like you said, preschool age?
Actually, with young children, like if you think about it, if you have toddlers or little preschoolers and you try to give them equal share of something, if somebody gets more than half, they know it. They're going to fuss about it, right? They start learning to count, if little simple counting things, that one-to-one correspondence, put 3 apples in the bowl, they learn that. So yeah, it starts way before school. It's as simple as parents, like just when you put your socks on, here's 1 sock, here's 2 socks. We start those kind of things with kids.
I think that's probably like facilitated by having siblings as well, because like your older sibling is like, oh, go get juice or whatever, and you're sitting there like looking at like the meniscus of the glass, and you're like, oh, is it aligned or up? Like, as soon as I learned what the word meniscus was, it changed my world.
Yeah. Also, when I was pregnant with my 4th child, I was on bed rest, and so my 2-year-old was home with me all summer, and I couldn't get up, so we played a lot of games on the couch, and one of them was Hi-Ho Cheerio. Well, listen, he was the only 2-year-old around that could count all those cherries 1 to 1. So sometimes it comes out of necessity.
Wow, he's going to be like a savant of math.
He actually did get a good degree in math, loves math. So wow, I don't know if it was Hi-Ho Cheerio that got him started, but yeah.